Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for X-Men 97, Episode 8, Tolerance is Extinction, Part 1. This is the beginning of a three-part end of the season. We're going to get into spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode, make sure to go check it out. You've probably seen a few reactions online, and for the most part, everything is overwhelmingly positive. Maybe one of the best episodes of an animated series. Definitely one of the best episodes of the X-Men animated series. So let's get into it. I'm going to go through the events of the episode and then we'll just kind of talk a little bit about my reactions, my feelings, and some of the references that we see. So we catch up with the X Men regrouping at the mansion with Cable, where they finally realize that Cable has tried to stop this multiple times from happening unsuccessfully. They discuss maybe the theory of fixed points in time, and then they also explain what is Bastion's plan, right? We see a possible future or the future where Cable comes from. We see some mutants that are very familiar, including Polaris, Mother Ascani, which is also Rachel Gray later on. So we see like those are really nice touches with the comic books. So that was a lot of fun to kind of go through. We also check in with Roberto and Jubilee. Roberto's mom plans to throw a big party to support the mutants. So this is a really interesting piece of commentary as to like sometimes people feel like just helping out is just like racing the funds and trying to get them out. Like really putting on feels like very demonstrative support as opposed to like actual support. They don't really like because even though she's doing this for mutants, once she has found out that her son is a mutant, she's ashamed of him and him being being public because that will tarnish the family name. Uh, so fed up with all this, Roberto and Jubilee decide to go to the mall, and we know that mall is where bad things happen. Uh, from the first episode of the series, the original series, we know that Jubilee got in trouble at the mall. So we also catch up with Dr. Cooper, who after finding out what Sinister's done and everything, she regrets working with Sinister. She goes up to Magneto, who is right now captured, uh, posed in a very similar position to, I believe it's a cover with Wolverine. But yeah, pretty much Magneto is being held captive. Bastion reveals his origin. Um, all this happens as Jean, Cyclops, and Cable go to a factory where they're supposed to be building Sentinels. Right? They got some intel from the future that this was an important location for Bastion. They figure out that it's not a factory, but it is actually his childhood home, and that's where Jean, with her powers, kind of sort of surmises everything about Bastion. We've and in the comics, Bastion is a super complicated character. They try to really uncomplicate it here. I think they do a pretty good job at trying to make sure that the through line of who Bastion is explained, but it's still very complicated, right? Nimrod, who is a sentinel from the future, sent some nanites or whatever to infect Bastion's dad. So Bastion is like a combination of human, sentinel, uh, but for all intents and purposes, he's kind of a mutant because he is an evolution of a human, just not a mutant in the way that the X-Men are mutants. So that's really interesting because Bastion, it feels to me a little hypocritical. But yeah, we get to see some of the hardships he went through growing up and all that. uh, then we catch up again with Bastion in the present, who is talking to other villains. We see some cameos here, really fun. We see him explaining his plans to Doctor Doom. Baron Zemo, he's also working with the government from the United States. As we see that President Kelly, he sends a representative to that meeting. It's really funny laid out because it's like a bunch of old monitors kind of like staggered together, as opposed to like it's not like some kind of conference call or whatever. It's just like monitors kind of surrounding Bastion as if he's doing some kind of comedy show. Uh, but yeah, he reveals to Dr. Cooper that Bastion's been infecting with the help of Sinister and the technovirus that he created for Cable. He's been infecting humans and having them pose as they're pretty much undercover sentinels in the body of regular people. Um, Once these are activated, which happens in this moment, humans from all over the place become like they were sleeper agents, and they now become activated. So we see First of all, Jubilee and Roberto are attacked at the mall by the butler, who was an undercover sentinel, and then more people around the mall activate. We also see that Jean Cable and Cyclops are attacked by Bastion's mom, and then the people around the neighborhood. And then at the mansion, the reporter who's with Beast turns out to be a sentinel as well. And also the people that were protesting outside of the house, some of them activated as sentinels. So this leads to one of the coolest fight sequences, right? We have Jean and Jean Cable and Cyclops trying to escape using the Blackbird, and then Cyclops' Porsche. That's kind of a callback to the car that he drove. Isn't It's not exactly a Porsche. I believe it was a Mazda in the X-Men movies, but it's kind of a callback to that. So they're able to kind of get away. And then Jubilee and Roberto are able to escape the mall, and as they go back to the party, to Roberto's home, Roberto's the Sentinels explain that they're not trying to kill them; they just want to help them. And Roberto's mom tells Roberto and Jubilee to go with the Sentinels, so they are captured. Meanwhile, at the mansion, uh, some of the mutants get taken out very quickly. We see that Morph's taken out very quickly. Beast also incapacitated. It's pretty much left up to Wolverine and Nightcrawler, who have some of the coolest moments. Like, just as far as an animated fight, it is some of the coolest shit I've ever seen in not just X-Men 97, but overall. And I'm comparing this to like some anime fights and stuff. Like, this was really well done. A lot of it has to do with the fact that both Wolverine and Nightcrawler are some of my favorite characters. So seeing them fight, I love the sequence at the beginning of X-Men 2, X-Men United, with Nightcrawler infiltrate the White House. They do a lot of BAMF fighting, which is when Nightcrawler is teleporting as well as he's handling the swords. From his time in Excalibur, that's a really nice callback to that. So yeah, they are trying to protect Rogue because Rogue is still incapacitated from the last episode. But yeah, they take out as many Sentinels as they can, but everyone is being overwhelmed until we see that Dr. Cooper has released Magneto. We get a really cool moment of Dr. Cooper just saying the phrase "Magneto was right," which is really, really like that's just a meme that's going on all over the internet, and it's really fun to see it in the cartoon. And then lastly, we see Magneto in his best Calvins go up to the North Pole and send out an EMP throughout the world to disable all technology pretty much, including, of course, the Sentinels. So it looks like everyone is safe for now. As the team's trying to regroup, we end up with Professor Charles Xavier crash landing, coming back from space, calling his X-Men back to the mansion. So that's where we leave off. Tolerance is Extinction Part 1. Once again, amazing how much they can just like really pack the episode. It's so dense with stuff, but it doesn't feel clunky. It just feels like one thing really flows into the other. um so yeah, whoever is working on this has a really good sense of pacing, of building tension. Of course, the animation, it's really like, it's not the best animation you will ever see, but it really just fits really well for the aesthetic of the show. Yeah, last episode, this episode of X-Men 97, like I said, some of the top stuff Marvel Animation has ever done. So, um, if you've seen this episode, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.